Hey, Hoff, why don't you start the movie? Holy shit. Welcome to episode 14 of Obscure Chatter. If you're new to the show or just need a reminder, I'm Terri Doty, and with me today is an amazing human being that is just awesome, and I don't know her well enough, so I made her lock herself in a booth to talk to me.
Heck yeah.
Welcome, Erica Lindbeck. Hey, what up?
Hello. Hello. Honored to be nominated. Happy to be here.
You actually, we did a dinner together in LA last June, and you had said, I was recording my friend Steve like the next day, and you said, hey, if you ever need a guest, let me know. And a year later, I definitely remembered that. So there
you made good on your promise. I've been waiting every day for you to ask me to be on your podcast, Terri.
It's funny because of how untrue that is. But
no, never.
Actually, I think you should go. You made it awkward. But today we're watching, and it was one of those things where you and I talked a little bit before we started recording about just what this movie and a few others on your list meant. And that, I think, is also something for the way that I was describing it to my friend Tia was, think of a movie that is really close to you that you would maybe want to like show someone that you're just becoming friends with or maybe dating to be like, yeah, I love this movie, and just kind of gauge how they take it. Obviously not to the point where like if they hate it, you're like, oh, well, we had a nice run, eh? But just kind of be like, But this one you gave me, and I immediately went, yes, because I love this movie and I actually don't talk about it all that much. But, you know, there's a lot of great cinema out there. But also the other four you gave me, it was immediately clear to me. I'm like, I've known you for a while now. I don't know you that well because all of these seem like a surprise to me. So,
surprise! My taste in movies is a little odd, I think.
Good. Yeah, there were some, you spanned multiple genres, multiple decades.
They did. They did.
You're just cooler than a lot of people. I'm sorry to tell you
I
this.
just contain multitudes, you know? Just don't judge me. Don't put me in a box. I'm different. I'm not like the other girls. You know what I mean?
It's like the first chapter of a YA novel. You know what? I just want to, I just want to change you. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Or I made that joke because that made me think of vampires. I think we're all a little unhinged right now, and it's that idea where
Hundo P.
You want to kind of do that like phone etiquette where like, hey, how are you doing? And you're supposed to say, I'm good, even though I'm horrible. But it just seems so odd for someone to say, I'm good, I'm great right now.
Yeah. My answer to that question, to how are you, is I'm like, well, the world's on fire, but I'm hanging in there, doing what I can. Those are my buzz phrases now when I respond.
See, I just kind of make noises and gurgle a lot.
That's nice. I should try that sometime.
But yes, it's very much on fire right now, and I've been writing a new show and working a lot with this time coder, and her and I have been communicating only through the script. Like, she'll give me notes on the script and like kind of tell me about her day, and I'm like, hey, when the world is a little less on fire, do you want to go for coffee? She's like, so in like 2-3 years? I'm like, maybe, but
in 2 or 3 years, when we actually get to see each other again. I was actually supposed to come to Texas like the week that the shelter-in-place order went down.
Really?
I was just going to visit because I have family in Dallas, and obviously, you know, with the voiceover connection, I have a lot of friends there. So I go just to hang out a few times a year, and I wasn't able to go, which was very sad. But I got a refund. I booked my flights like within the American Airlines refund time, the pandemic refund. So I will be coming.
I'm curious about that because I know I just learned this last night. I learned this at midnight last night and then couldn't go to bed. Like, you know, when you're really tired and you learn something very important and you're like, fuck, don't think about this, go to sleep. Mm-hmm. But yes. I was trying to do just a trip to go fly fishing. I've always wanted to go fly fishing. It's a very not Terri thing to say, but I'm like, it's just kind of on my bucket list. And
top 5 phrases I never thought would come out of Terry's mouth.
Along with,
my dad goes
love
deep sea fishing and fly fishing.
But so I talked Stephen into it, and we were supposed to go at the beginning of May. And they of course, there's that standard policy like, hey, you need 50% down, and within the 60 days of the scheduled thing, you don't get that deposit back.
Oh.
I'm like, well, surely this place that we're going fly fishing, that's like all inclusive and it has all the gear and someone will help kind of teach you how to do fly fishing. They went, nah, it's within 60 days of your appointment, you're not going to get that refund back. I'm like, it's a pandemic.
I know.
And then they just started ghosting us. And so I made the dispute with my credit card company, and my credit card company messaged me back last night and said, yeah, we lost in favor of the merchant. I'm like, how?
Wow.
That was
that is crazy.
I don't get it, but we lost $1,400.
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh my God, that's a lot of money
for a trip that we just can't get back. And I'm like, so I'm like, I was really tired, and now it's just I was staring at Steven, after midnight, just in the living room, like, what happens now? Like, he's like, I think we just. I'm like, I am going to shit talk them on Google. That's what that's going. So,
yeah. Well, what's funny? I bought trip insurance for my flight, and I called the trip insurance, and they were like, "Yeah, you're not covered in pandemics." And I was like, "What?" And then I called American Airlines, and they went, "No, we'll refund you," which is so crazy that the trip insurance wouldn't, but
I'm baffled
American
by
Airlines did. Yeah, it's crazy. And I had a like an interactive museum exhibit that I was supposed to go to, and they were like, they gave me a voucher. Most of the places that I contacted were pretty chill about it. But also, like, why? It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, you don't have to refund me. Just give me a voucher or something to reschedule at a later date,
Yeah.
Just work with me a little bit here. These times are unprecedented. Also, that's just going to foster such a bad relationship. It's just bad juju. It doesn't make sense to me.
It really, really is. I don't, cause what was it? There was somebody.
Or foster a bad reputation, rather. Yeah.
I just don't understand that because, like, I have been very, very, like, when we were still, like, getting food delivered and stuff, like, oh, I'm so sorry we're out of this. I'm like, that is fine. They're like, it's just, I'm like, no, you are fine. Don't apologize.
Yeah. Totally.
But I don't know. It feels like common courtesy is very much like an option right now. I'm like, this just goes, so many things, obviously, right now. And, like, this just goes against everything that I was raised to believe is right. But I guess that's not an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's just, it's been, I don't even know what life is anymore. I'm just trying to be as nice as I can to people. That's it. Like, I know people are struggling right now, and it's awful. And I feel incredibly lucky to be working in a medium that I can still perform in.
Yes.
During these times.
I think it was a wake-up call to a lot of our friends that don't have their own setups, but it's like, hey, like, if I can help you, figure out, like, how to set up your own thing, they're like, oh, I don't want to inconvenience you. I'm like, I'm actually busy, but, like, if it helps other people, why not? I
actually noticed, this whole thing has made me realize how, like, reticent people are to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah. It's a pride
which
thing.
Luckily, like, yeah, it's a pride thing. Also, it's a weird thing because I don't know if you know this, I'm relatively outgoing. And so I've noticed that, like, I would, I think everyone goes through that phase at some point in their lives where, like, well, I'm not going to go where I'm not wanted. And then you never ask anyone to do anything because you're scared that they don't want to hang out with you. And then they never ask you to hang out because they always assume you're busy. Like, it's just this weird cyclical thing where nobody ever ends up hanging out. And because we're all basically homebound and we can't meet at a restaurant or a coffee shop or a bar, anything, you kind of, like, we've taken things down to brass tacks where someone has to make the move.
Yeah.
Someone has to be like, hey, do you want to Zoom? Hey, and I actually, like, I just have no shame anymore. Like, I'll reach out to anybody anytime. And I've noticed that far and away, everyone wants to hang out, whether that's, a social distance walk or a coffee or a Zoom or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting just psychologically how this has affected all of us. And
it has. I think we're all a little jarred, like, as we've been doing remote sessions or, just the zero contact stuff. And it's baffling to so many people that, other studios are willing to make that kind of commitment. And I'm like, hey, if we can actually somehow interact, even though it's at least 6 feet apart and I can see you. I have been thinking, there was one of Steven's friends. It's like, hey, we should all go camping in a couple weeks. I'm like, did you forget? He's like, oh no, like, we'll all keep our distance. I'm like, that's not camping together.
No, that's exactly, yeah.
But it seems like most of the people, I think you're in a much chiller state than I am. Cause yeah.
You mean people respecting the boundaries or wearing masks and stuff, or
all of that. Because even what was it? The governor for our state was kind of has been continuously raked over the coals. Like, hey, you're not really being clear in your wording, and if you went over the your plan on how to open the state up, he's like, well, it's all there in the plan. They're like, yes, and we're saying that the plan is confusing and you need to clarify it. He's like, that's what lawyers are for. Like, oh my god.
Dude, can you be a leader? Didn't you want to be a leader? Now's the time.
I really just wanted the accolades and none of the responsibility.
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? God.
Like, well, I want to be famous, but wait, I don't like the way you're talking to me. Like, well, I'm directing you. That's what I'm doing.
Well, also, I mean, it's biting everyone in the ass. It's biting every state. I mean, I'm originally from North Carolina, and I was just talking to my mom, and she said that they might be going back to phase 1 because everything's spiking. Of course, everything's spiking.
Yeah.
Because people decided the pandemic, they were sick of it. The mask thing wasn't cool and novel anymore, so they're just not gonna, respect it or abide by it or whatever.
Yeah, it's. I feel like Texas is very close to that. I haven't heard anything about North Carolina until just now, honestly. But yeah, it's and maybe that's again where it's really an issue of pride. It's well, I know this isn't the way things are done, but we can't keep relying on this isn't the way things are done. Obviously, this is partially why we're in the situation that we're in. It's because we just don't like being uncomfortable. But I'd say that the other side of the coin with the protests and the giant movement that's been happening, that it's because there are so many people that are just sitting at home that they've had no choice but to think about the world as it is and what needs to change. So
totally. I agree. No, I feel a shift. I have felt the shift.
Yeah.
And it has been really difficult and uncomfortable, but I am at a point in my life where I am 100% willing to admit that I was wrong and I have been wrong and I have not done enough, and that's okay. And now I just need to fix it. And that's what I'm going to do. So
same. I mean, for the longest time growing up, as someone with a Mexican mom and a white dad, it was very clear to me very early on that life is very weird and they're very judgmental people. That it's like, that's your mom? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, why are you looking at me like that? To see that, but also just be like, well, I understand clearly what's going on with, my friend here. My friend's like, I agree that you've been through some shitty stuff. You don't understand what it's like to be black. I'm like, I don't. You're right. Mm-hmm. Jesus. But and I guess that was that go-to thing that we've heard constantly. Like, well, I'm not racist. I'm like, yeah, that's not enough. It's not enough to not be racist.
No. And there was a time when I thought it was. 100%. I was just scared to get in the ring because I didn't want to step on any toes. But right is right and wrong is wrong. Mm-hmm. When you take things down to brass tacks, the answer is very, very simple, and you're either on the right side or the wrong side. I don't really see any in between.
Right. I think it was Bernice King, who is the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., that said racism is not a matter of opinion. And
no,
that's just for some people. I'm like it's not a political issue. It's not anything like that. But I just, it's very much similar to a few years ago. It was realizing how stupid I sound when I'm like, oh, I'm not a feminist. And it was because of that thing, when you have a lot of guy friends and the guy friends get really upset when you're like, ugh, feminists.
Yeah. Oh my God, Terri, we were literally the same. And recently I've realized, I don't know, I just turned 28, a couple weeks ago, and I think 27 was just a very eye-opening year for me in a lot of ways. And I think honestly, sticking to my guns and, really, really understanding that, saying, the idea of the feminist thing, I feel like I was one of those people who was like, well, I'm not a feminist. And now I'm like, no, you are, Erica. Like, you are.
Yeah.
And anyone who is upset about that, they need to do some fucking research. Like, fuck off. That's why we have the right to vote. It's just insane. It actually, my taste in men has changed so drastically in the last couple of years. I cannot even tell you. It's because like emotional intelligence has become the number one thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all the movies I watched when I was younger told me I needed like some big fucking himbo man who didn't know his right hand from his left. Like, it just, and who, just masculine hubida. There's a lot of masculine traits that I feel can be attributed to masculinity traits that are really fucking toxic, and we need to just stop. And I saw this tweet yesterday that was like, more men in crop tops and short shorts. And I was like, heck yeah. And lip gloss. Paint your nails. I love it. I'll still fuck ya. Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Well, well, you even think like when it's like if you're dating someone, I've dated men and I've dated women, and I will say, yes, obviously with the women, there was a lot more of an open dialogue than there were with a lot of the men. But that's just like well, yeah, obviously. And where I was, the big relationship before Stephen, it was like a lot of like, well, we share all of the same ideals, and I think he thinks he's a feminist, but he is very quick to shut me up about topics that I know more about being a woman in America, especially being a Mexican woman in America, compared to a guy that just went to a really nice business school in Austin, Texas. But wow. You, like Stephen and I talk about that all the time, where it's just, hey, if we were if we'd never met, if we were single right now, do you think that you would be with somebody, do you think you would be with somebody else? And he's like, I don't know, just dating. He's like, maybe it's because I'm not in the ring anymore, but it feels like it's harder now. And I'm like,
oh my God, don't even get me started. I hate it.
Like you said that your view toward who you're attracted to has changed. Can you, I get
different.
it, but can you explain that a little bit more? Like,
oh gosh. Well, I mean, I recently, it's so funny. My mom was like, your Wikipedia page says you came out as bisexual on February 16th, whatever. And I'm like, well, I think I've known for a very long time. But it just wasn't something that I discussed, but I felt the need because I had a platform. I felt like I could help to normalize bisexuality, which I love. I'm like, I'm sitting on my pedestal normalizing bisexuality as a privileged white woman living in America. But yeah, like I think I had to finally acknowledge to myself that I have 100% been, sexually attracted and romantically attracted to women in my life. But it was just sort of a foregone conclusion to me at that point. But it was therapeutic for me to say it out loud. And all of my friends were like, oh, no way, Erica. We're so shocked.
Like all of them. That was me too when I've dated women, and there was a point where, like, fully committing to Stephen, I'm like, well, I used to, oh my God, I want to kick past me, like, really hard in the shin, the bad leg too, because I know myself. But there was this point where I was talking to my ex-girlfriend, like my biggest ex, and I'm like, well, I'm straight. And she went, I'm sorry, what? And I went, it's just that thing. And it's because so many people would just be like, well, it was college, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And she's like, no, we were in a relationship for over a year.
Good for her.
And she's
good
like,
for her. Yeah, I agree.
No, you don't get to discount what we had because you're in like the standard. I'm like, no, oh my God. She's
love
like,
her.
You're pansexual. That's what you are. And I'm like, I had to look up the word.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
dude, I like your ex. She sounds dope.
She broke my heart, yes. But we're still friends. We're still friends. But it's now
That's
like
good.
a funny thing, like where she's like, you want to freak people out? I'm like, yeah. She's like, Terri, what's the love of my life? And they're like, what's happening? I'm like, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But you just don't think about that. And I think it's because you don't want to fight against the current in that way. But even my mother, she's like, you and I'll even self-edit her name. You and da-da-da, like, that was a relationship, right? I'm like, she's like, don't lie to me. I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Ugh. But
well,
yeah,
I think most women, we can admit, women connect emotionally much more easily with other women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a thing. Like, I have many male friends, but I think I form emotional bonds with women so much more easily than men. It's a whole other game when it comes to dudes, I think.
It is, and that's not
straight men. Sorry,
Yes.
like cis straight men, not the gays. God, I love the gays. All the gays.
I think a lot of cis white men, especially, like, are very easy to take offense to that because it's well, not me. And I'm like, I know, but that's very much like a, all lives matter type of thing to me. Like, I understand that you are fantastic, but I'm talking about in general, there are also a lot more stakes whenever we entrust you with our emotional well-being just as a friend alone.
I mean, absolutely. And again, like, emotional intelligence is at the top of my list now as far as I have definitely tended towards dating men in my life. I had something to say about this and I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh man. Oh, here's what it is. I have a really strong personality. And I think I was going for, because I have been taught since I was very young to go for men with very strong personalities and who have sort of a lot, like, I hate to say the word, but like that alpha male kind of thing going on. And I've realized that that's not what I need at all. Like, I think it's always been hard for me to date because the gender roles that I thought I needed to fall into always felt just consummately so wrong for me.
Yeah, that doesn't, knowing you just, I feel like I get to know you a little bit better. Because what was it? I think we met watching The Last Jedi together. That wasn't that long ago, but no, that does in no way sounds like if I knew someone that kind of fit that, I'd be like, who you would really like? No, there's no way I would introduce those two.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so for me, it's just been a matter of sort of not destigmatize. Like, it's what's that thing, like, when you get out of a cult and what's that called? when they something you.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Steven. Like, Steven's Googling. I don't know. My Google game is stronger than
It's not decompress. It's something else. I don't know. But whatever. I had to sort of work around the way that my brain just would react to people and what I thought I needed and what I wanted.
Deprogram.
Deprogram. There we go. I really, and I'm still in the process of it, but I actually met a guy recently who, like, is really really emotionally intelligent and is just like a really great dude, and that has been nice. So, and I was like, oh, this is what I almost had like a panic reaction because he loves to listen and learn, and he's really, really smart and also very attractive. It's just I'm just like, whoa, okay. But I have more masculine traits than he does, I think.
I'm
like, I would fall into that role more than he would, I think.
I am definitely, as far as traditional gender roles go, I am the husband and Stephen is the wife.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, I'm talking about,
if we're talking about traditional gender roles, masculine. I feel weird saying masculine, feminine because there's such a spectrum and all that. So please correct me if I'm using something incorrectly or.
Well, I mean, someone could also just get on and be like, actually, both of you are wrong. I'm like, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah, which is totally fine.
Or I even because someone was like, I'm kind of an alpha male, and I'm like, alpha males aren't actually a thing in nature.
I would never date someone who said they were an alpha male. To my credit, I have never dated a man who said that he was an alpha male. I would never.
I once made out with a dude, and then like it didn't go anywhere. Like we were all just like after a party, like made out, and then like someone just kind of knocked on like my truck door, like, hey, we're all going to Denny's. So we all go to Denny's, and I was talking about how in a couple of weeks I was going to California to see some family, and he went, whoa, that's kind of something we need to talk about. I'm like, what? We made out once. And
that's so weird.
I'm like, that is like wow, I I've never had to deal with that. I'm like, you really don't know me at all. Yeah. I don't. Nah, bruh.
Yeah, I think I've come to the conclusion that I actually do not like aggressive men. Like,
No.
I'm not into it. And I think I thought I wanted that for a while, and I 100% do not.
No, that even happens. Like if I'm reading something, they're like,
Yes.
no.
Oh.
I'm just like, yeah, that's not gonna happen, bro. Like reading it, like, you get 20 more pages to redeem that last little thing you said. Yep.
100%. I agree. I literally just tweeted last night. I was like, I am so proud to say that I'm out of my himbo phase and into my soft boy phase. I think I'll stay here for a while.
I mean, yeah, I think that it's really nice when someone that looks like really burly or whatever is just like, hi.
Oh yeah, himbos can be great. Himbos can be
it.
the best. 100%. Honestly, I think what I really need is like a mix of a himbo and a soft boy. That's what I like.
That exists. That definitely exists.
I hope so. Yeah, anyway.
Dating
Anyway,
is fun
but yeah.
in that way. But I think it's also easier for us as women to open up about our sexuality than it is for a man. And also just to be like, by the way,
100%.
I hate hunting and fishing and da-da-da. Like, for me, I'm very... I forget where I was. I was doing like a stylist thing because I was going to an award show. And they're like, what's your fashion style? And I'm like, androgynous hobo.
I love that.
They're like, well, okay, what do you think about a dress? I'm like, that, if you want me to look awkward as fuck, put me in a dress. I really like
I've never felt like stereotypically feminine. Yeah. Oh my God, I would crush a suit. What's really weird about
God, with
me
your
is
hair?
that
Fuck you. Yes.
Dude, see, that's the thing is like I have a very stereotypically feminine body. Like I have big boobs and a small waist and hips and a butt. I feel like I look very feminine, but I don't feel particularly feminine. I 100% feel like a woman, and that's fine. But yeah, it's always been tough for me because I remember one time my friend and this guy came over to my friend and I at the gym, and he was like flirting with us, and I was being really sassy and sarcastic back to him, and he walked away, and I was like, I'm so bad at flirting. And she goes, Erica, it's like I'm watching two lions on a savanna. She was like, you don't go alpha female, you just go alpha to whoever's in the room. Like it truly, which is funny because I'm like, I hesitate to use the word alpha, whatever, but that was how she described it. Because I will butt heads with anybody. And but for me it's banter. It's not like I'm actually being mean to the person, but just my energy. You know, I hate to call it big dick energy, but a lot of people have described me that way. So that's what it is.
Yeah, you don't like.
I'm never like, oh,
there's
I'm so cute. Oh my gosh.
There is no female equivalent like big clit energy. Or,
oh my God, I could never say that phrase. I love their in this scene. They're so cute.
I still quote that. Like if it comes on, like all the time. But oh my God, they're both so young. Look at him. Look at him.
I love them. Ugh. Also, I miss God. Ugh.
Oh my God, I was actually just thinking about that because there was another movie. Stephen and I do this thing, and I've mentioned it before on the show, but Stephen and I do this thing since we're so far apart in age. Or not so far apart, 7 years.
So far apart. Steven's just ancient.
Far
oh my God, I can't believe he's even still alive.
If there's a big gust of wind, he'll fly away with the elements. You're like, I will love again. No, but we do this thing where I'm like, hey, this was a big deal in my childhood, and this was a big deal in my childhood, and just kind of like match up what things are. But I was trying to describe, like, I forget what movie she was in where I was like, oh my God, she was really good in this. And Steven's like, whatever happened to her? I'm like, she died, dude. It's like, oh, well, shit. Yeah. But no, I think
I had a moment like that, like the other day. I forgot that John McCain was dead. I legitimately completely missed that. I did not know.
I just remembered that as you're talking.
Yeah, it's weird. I know.
With Juneteenth yesterday, I was like scrolling through everybody's amazing posts, and there was a point where I remembered in the 6th grade, I very, very quickly had to bullshit a Rosa Parks a report in the 6th grade about Rosa Parks. And I clearly didn't finish the book because I ended it with, and then her life ended with this, da-da-da. They're like, she's alive. It was 1995. She lived for like another 10 years. But I'm like,
God.
I guess I'm not passing this report.
Oh man, I half-assed so many. My best quality in high school was I could write a report on a book that I had never read. Like I could just take basic themes. Oh, and college actually. I could take the most basic themes, read like a couple chapters and just bastardize them to lightly follow the outline of what I'd read.
And you, where did you go to school?
I went to UCLA and majored in theater and acting.
Right. That's
Indeed.
right.
Indeed.
I just went to a local community college myself. And I bullshit
That's fine.
a lot of papers myself.
Don't say it like that. I went to a local.
Well,
You're one of the smartest people I've ever met, you prick.
oh, thanks, bitch. I like to think so too. But it's that kind of thing where it's like, all right, you got your associates. Where are you going next? And if people keep doing that long enough, you're like, maybe I'll just kind of say I have a degree and never say what level of degree I have. But
I
then
was actually
I
talking
started...
with someone. Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry,
you go ahead.
I was just talking with someone the other day about how it's hard for me because I feel that it's especially with dating, saying that you're an actor is just because I'm like, I would never want to go on a date with someone and then be like, I'm an actor. Like that just doesn't sound good to me. And I know that's horrible. It's like internalized self-hate. But I'm just like, because I feel like I'm starting at a baseline of people thinking that I'm very vapid and that sucks. And maybe that is just my innards being just wrong and like maybe that's not the perception, but
no, I
don't
feel
know,
that
man.
too.
It's tough.
Oh,
it's just not a smart person career. Or not that people can't be smart who are actors, but when people think of smart person careers, nobody's like an actor, and that bothers me. It really it really bothers me sometimes.
I've never gathered that someone would think it's not a smart thing. For me, there was it was my high school boyfriend, my high school sweetheart, who was always very encouraging of me going to, because right after high school, I wanted to go to this conservatory in New York, but was very much shot down by money. And but his best friend would constantly be like, I don't know, man, like if she's gonna keep doing that, like, can you even trust her? And Jason, my high school sweetheart, is like, what the fuck do you mean? He's like, I mean, she's an actor. Like, how are you gonna know, like, if she's ever like 100% like herself?
Oh my God.
Like, what does that mean?
That is so nuts. I mean, not necessarily entirely untrue. There's a shred of truth in that, but yeah. I mean, I've always said that I'm a good actor. Well, it depends on who you ask. I'm a decent actor and a bad liar. I've never been able to actually.
I think for a lot of people, looking at it from the outside, I think there appears to be a rivalry between coasts. But in reality, I just like working with who I like to work with. And I actually hate that I haven't gotten to work with you like one-on-one, really. But I have never, anyone who's ever worked with you, I've never heard, ugh, Erica. I mean, there have been a couple of times like where they're like, oh, you like this person? Ugh. I'm like, that's actually one of my best friends. Like, oh, yeah, no, I'm kidding. Like, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've gotten like I've become like a feral mountain lion when it comes to my friends and the people in my life. Like I will go to the mat immediately and be like, nope, that's wrong. That person's great. Sorry, bye.
Mm-hmm. And
that's
I think
my friend.
I think maybe we're similar in that way because it's so and so. Like I feel like you're saying something like intentionally controversial because you know that you want to argue right now. And you know that I'm here. Yeah. Like, we can go, but this will not.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of people who don't know me particularly well saying, things about me. It's not anything like, Erica's a bad person, just like, I don't know why Erica booked like ABC. I think she's overrated, whatever, but I'm just like, whatever helps you sleep at night, like, that's fine. I get it.
I mean, I think it kind of maybe shows where that person might be in their career, because I think that's a very young thing to think.
It 100% is. 100, yeah, because you just feel like you're just threatened by everybody, and you view everyone as competition. And I completely get it. Like, sometimes I get in that headspace too, 100%. So I get it, but I think I'm in a place where I'm just like, well, that person is going through some nasty shit mentally, clearly, so whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have been up for some of the same stuff, and it's like, who'd they cast? And it's like, Erica, like, oh, yeah, that's a good choice. Like, that's all it takes.
Yeah, I lost out on a huge thing that I really wanted to Laura Post recently, and they let me know, and I was like, I'd lose anything to Laura. She's so great. Like, God.
I mean, and doesn't that like, it costs nothing to be happy for somebody else, or just be like, I get it. Like, but to just be like, why the fuck would they cast them when they could have cast me? I think it was that. I think the first example that springs to mind is, oddly enough, it's Ghostbusters, where initially Ernie Hudson's character was supposed to be a bigger deal, and he just kept getting whittled down to the point where he got very bitter on set until Harold Ramis like pulled him aside and was like, I know that this is personal for you and it feels personal, but this is the business and none of it has to do with you as a person. You need to let it go.
Yeah, you can't take anything personally, like, no. It's hard. I completely understand. It's hard, but I think also just I mean, real talk, I've been very fortunate in my career, and I have worked essentially full time since I started, and I'm very cognizant of that, and I know I'll be like, people will be like, wow, especially like with, I did a lot of press for Final Fantasy, and people would be like, I just looked at your resume and it's so, it's so crazy that you've done all this stuff, and, you've worked on everything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, well, I've been really lucky. And then people are like, don't say that. It takes skill. And I'm like, yeah, but I know that it takes skill, and I do know that I'm good. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, I suck. Like, that's just, no. But there are so many people that I know that are so talented and have been on the grind for years, and who are just as talented as I am, if not more, who have not had the opportunities that I have. And I'm just really cognizant of that. Also, I am such a small part of such a huge process. There's so many people making me look good.
Yes.
When these things come out. And so I just think it's important to always be cognizant of that and never walk into a room. It's funny, recently I walked in for a pretty big callback, and the narrative director of this game that I was called back for was like, I loved your work in Spider-Man. Aww. And I was like, shocked. It just was so funny, because I hope I maintain this for the rest of my life. I truly, like, my one wish in this world is to never walk into a room assuming that people know me or that my work precedes me. It's always a shock to me when somebody knows me from something. And that's starting to happen a little bit more often now. And I think that's really lovely. But I think on my insides, I just always want to walk in the room going, they don't know me from Adam. I am going to prove myself. I'm going to do my best. Like, it's showtime, motherfuckers. Like, that's how I want to walk into every room.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's just one of the things that honestly, personally is appealing to you just as a friend, is because, I don't know, like, when you have friends that aren't actors, I think sometimes, like, they can just be kind of sick of that, like, because friends and family can definitely be happy for you, but it's just at one point, like, can you at least sound humble about the success? Like,
yeah.
And grateful for it.
And I'm sure sometimes I don't. Like, sometimes I don't, too. Like, that's the thing. Like, if we're talking real talk, like, I know that sometimes I probably come off as a little bit pompous. I'm sure that I do.
It's all unintentional, because also part of the biz is to be able to talk yourself up. You're your own calling card.
It's a tough line to tread, I think. It really is. And I've always, my focus has always been on the work. And I'm always like, I want my work to just speak for itself. I don't want to feel like I have to be like, I'm amazing, I'm great, blah, blah, blah. But if you ask me, like, do you think you're good at acting? I would be like, yes. I mean, yes.
Yeah, that's not the time
I'm not
to be like,
shucks.
I'm not like other girls.
No, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just quirky. I'm not like the other girls. Ugh.
I wear glasses sometimes. I push them up. It's weird. Ponytails. I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, because yeah, when we met, it was like you just walked up with like Sabbath and a couple of other people, and we all just went in and saw Last Jedi. It wasn't like a, by the way, I'm Erica, but I'm sure you already knew that.
I actually have had people think that, like, upon just meeting me in a big group or something, they think I'm going to be a certain way. And actually, that's been happening since I was younger. I think I just have really harsh features. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the big blonde hair. Like, I don't know. But people have straight up said to me multiple times, like, when I first met you, ooh, I thought you were going to be just not a fun person to be around.
I get that all the time.
You know, yeah. I feel like we level in that way. And then they were like, and then I got to know you, and you're very nice, and, you know, whatever. But I know I can be very loud sometimes. It's something I need to work on. Actually, I was reading this, it was just like a tweet, but it was I think it's the ADHD alien or something. It's some artist who writes about her experiences with ADHD. And I was like, oh, I have 8 out of these 10 things on this list. And one of them, or it was like how ADHD can affect your relationships and stuff. And I was talking about anxiety and also not being a good listener and interrupting people and all that. And I know those are things that I've had to work on over the years, and I know I'm getting better at them, but I just was kind of like, ugh, I'll always be dealing with this, like, you know, this difficulty that I have sometimes in being a good listener and all that. I
mean, just being aware of it is something, I mean, because, that's something Felicia and I were talking about in her episode is, you know, kind of looking back at your younger self from just 5 to 10 years ago and being like, oh my God. But Felicia also quickly pointed out, she's like, yes, but 10 years from now, think about who you are right now. Don't you hate that person? I'm like, probably. You know, it's just,
yeah.
It's constantly jumping from one lily pad to the next and going like, now I know not to do this. Now I know not to do that. And, by the way, you were too harsh on this person. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my God. I judged so many people. Like, wait, oh my God, that I go there to pick up liquor. That is so funny. I never noticed that. I haven't watched this movie in so long.
Really?
I drive by there all the time. Yes.
Oh no, that was like, I think when, last time I saw you in person was when we were in LA, and I pointed that out. Steven's like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, nothing at all. Like, just
nothing at all. I love that. Oh my God, that's literally like right down my like right down the street for me. That is so funny. Sorry, I totally oh my God, I love it. She's like, oh God. I'm sorry, what were we talking about? ADHD? Or hating who we are, hating ourselves. Yes.
Yes. Hating ourselves and, also seeing things that are shiny. You're like, oh, that's nice.
Gross. Seeing things that are shiny.
One thing, okay, because I actually did the vocal warm up. I'm like, today my guest is Erica Lindbeck, who is definitely not on J.K. Rowling's cool list.
Oh my God, I did.
What?
I made the Singapore National News for calling her a wilting head of lettuce.
I'm very curious why they picked you out of everybody, but I'm entertained by it.
I honestly do. Yeah, I'm confused as well. I truly am. It might be because, you know, I don't know.
All right,
I
so
mean, the insult is pretty
I remember
benign.
the J.K. Rowling thing because, I mean, she's said a lot of disappointing stuff over the years, which makes it hard to, and like, no, that doesn't destroy my love of Harry Potter.
She was trying to, I know, she was trying to call out a publication for just using inclusive language, which is so dumb. Just keep it to yourself, man. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you try to call out an article for just using inclusive language when it comes to people who menstruate? It's just such an easy thing to just go, oh, that's nice, inclusive language. Wow, lovely.
Right.
And she didn't. So I called her a wilting head of lettuce. I said there are trans men and non-binary people who menstruate, you absolute wilting head of lettuce. That was what I responded. And then it made it to the Singapore National News for some reason. And I love how it just said user Erica Lindbeck, like had nothing to do. I was just a random person, which I am. In the scope of the world, I am indeed a random person. But
right.
I had this conversation with someone else, one of my guy friends, and he was like, yeah, you really went hard. And I was like, do you have any trans friends? Like, do you have trans friends? And he paused and he was like, no. And I was like, well, there you go. Don't tell me I was going too hard. Okay? Like, if we don't stand up for our friends, then what are we even doing on this earth?
Just our human being, because it's that well, if I had friends, I'm like, okay, but let's just assume you did. Like, always act like you did, because it's that whole argument. I made a joke to Raleigh when he was trying to rewrite a line for a female character. He's like, I don't know how this chick talks. I'm like, well, Raleigh, as the father of a daughter, you should know all the issues about a woman. Because that's been the big thing, I didn't think about this until I became a parent, but I'm like, now you care about women's rights?
Yeah, because that sucks, but it's just an empathy thing. It's like it doesn't matter until it directly affects you.
Right.
You read all these articles about like KKK members being like, well, I was in the KKK, or ex-KKK members rather, being like, I was in the KKK, but then I met a black dude and he's pretty cool, so I'm done. Like, that literally is like how that happens.
It's a reverse American History X. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I used to work at this club called the Red Blood Club in Deep Ellum. And
I love it.
I was very much into my gutter punk phase. I had the jet black hair. I stopped wearing my septum ring out for a long time, but at this point it was always out, and I always had like my cat eye makeup on. I was very much like can you guess that I'm super, super approachable? Because I bet you can't. But I was bartending outside, and the table that they gave me for all the beers and everything had a swastika actually like ingrained in the table. So I was like trying to cover it, like, Jesus Christ. And finally, like, the skinhead dude like walks up and he's like, hey, can I help you like turn this table around? And I went, what? And he went, it's just such bullshit. Like, oh my God, I don't know who did this, but like, can I help you out? And he like helped me like turn the table around so that wouldn't show. And I kind of went, not that. He's like, I'm actually like, I respect the skinhead lifestyle, but I'm civil. I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
I'm so confused by it, but I didn't realize then, like, it was a very heavily, like, skinhead, like, population there until I was bartending inside another night, and this dude with, like, the hammers, like, very much like, hey, I'm in the KKK. Ask how. He went, where are you from?
Nice.
And I went, I'm sorry? And he went, I'm just curious about, like, your lineage. And I'm like, and then my manager happened to walk by. I'm like, oh, hey, look, it's Justin. Justin will take care of you. And it was this like holy shit. He can smell the Mexican on me. And I quit like later that night because that dude actually attacked a chick in the parking lot that was performing earlier that day, and she had gotten flowers and she busted a glass vase over his head. And I'm like,
nice. Good for her.
Oh my God. Yeah. She's so fucking badass. But I was
The boy is here, Terri. The boy is here.
I believe what you're looking for. Hold on. We have to dub it.
I don't. Oh my God. Yes.
My mother was so confused.
He does not look like a high schooler.
No,
oh
not at all. He looks like he's very much in his late 20s.
This is the problem with these movies, because it made you think that like this is what you were going to look like in high school when you realize that they're casting like 25, 30-year-olds to play.
I was very upset when I realized Zach Morris was 26 when he was supposed to be 15. I was very, very upset.
Oh my God. Yeah. It gives you an altered perception of what things should be. Gossip Girl ruined my life.
Oh, I know. But when in reality, like, there are some guys in high school that are your age and they're already going bald. And then there are some that still look like they're 12.
It is weird.
People thought I was a teacher most of the time because of my height and the fact that, like, my freshman year, I was like, man, I'm never going to get boobs. And then over the summer, I was like, I got boobs.
Dude, Terri, I was such a late bloomer, and I didn't get, like, I think I was, this is TMI, whatever. I was a C cup, until I was 24, and now I'm a triple D. What the hell? Like, what happened? Oh my God.
I'm sorry. You and I are not the same size at all, but I am also a triple D.
I love you.
I love you. Good. You can't have my bras, but I love you.
No.
That is hilarious because it was this like I went in at one point and I'm like, I'm a full figure. Like, I like to refer to myself as a thickums. And, like, the chick.
I love that. I'm going to call you thickums now. I love that. My little thickums.
You know what? I'm blushing. But no, this chick that I always go to at like a Dillard's, she's like, oh no, my mother was a seamstress, like, and she's very old school in her measurements. She's like, okay, so if you went to Victoria's Secret, this is what they tell you that you are, and they wouldn't be able to sell you a bra because they don't know how to really work with thicker women. I'm going to do this. If you're going to go for this style, you can actually pull off this size, this size, this size, this size, and this size. I'm like, oh my God. So I actually I don't go to the mall anymore, but I always go to her specifically. And if she dies, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you just
I was wearing a D cup. Thinking that was like huge. And I didn't know why like my boobs were falling out of my bras. And then I went in and got measured and she was like, no, you're a triple D.
Right. Like these sizes make no sense. They make no sense. But that's
really
the first
don't.
place that I gain weight is I'm like, well, no, like my pants, like I've been this size for like ever, except for in my early 20s when I was very, very unhealthy and smoking. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a size 6. They're like, yes, you look like you're dying. I'm like, I know, it's great, right? But
that's what's so crazy. They really inundate us with like they're like a 6 or an 8 is big. Like I've lost some weight in the last few months and I think I'm an 8 now and I look pretty lean, you know, and we, for some reason we're inundated with this like lady propaganda that's like, if you're not a 4, anything above a 4 is big. I'm like, if I was a 4, I would be emaciated.
Right. Like, but you have this idea that like a 4 is huge or, yeah, what is it? My friend Carly Mosier, she's like a 00, and I'm like, fuck you. She's like, well, no, it works for my frame, but like I don't want to take. Anytime we go to a con together, I'm like, I don't want to take photos next to you. She's like, shut up.
The thing is too, yeah. The other thing that nobody tells you. I'm about to burp. Hold on. Okay. Oh, it's so hot. I love it. Burp ASMR. The other thing is that nobody tells us is that you literally go through like a second puberty in your early mid-20s. Like my bones just got wider. Like my bones got wider and I was like, oh my God, I'm gaining weight. I can't believe it. Nothing fits. And I'm like, no, Erica, those things will never fit. Your bones are just wider now.
Yeah.
Like nobody tells us about that. And that sucks. And it makes you think. And every woman I've talked to is overwhelmingly like, yes, oh my God, yes. That's a thing. Where your boobs get a little bigger and you just get a little bit wider. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I like my body now better than the way it was, you know, when I was 22, 23, but it's really fucky, the stuff we go through. And men as well. I mean, honestly, body standards for men are, you know, nuts too. It's just nuts all around. We need to be more accepting of ourselves. It really
we do.
sucks.
And I think there's this idea, like for me, I was always looking back, and it's that thing, like, after a couple of years when I look at photos that I'm like, oh my God, I'm so huge. And I'm like, I looked great. Oh my God.
Yeah, and, me too. Oh my God, don't even get me started.
My God.
I still am dysmorphic. But
oh yeah, no, that's something I've been dealing with forever. And I did get teased a lot, and I had signs put on my back, like the whole thing. And then just at one point in high school, I lost 60 pounds over the summer from sophomore to junior year. Yeah. And that was just because I was calorie counting. Which is like so unhealthy on its own. And I would get up and do a 1-hour workout, and then right before sleep, I would do a 1-hour workout. I lost
a lot.
Yeah, it was. So I lost like 60 pounds over the summer, came back, and it was that whole. You don't realize it now, but it's, oh my God, you lost so much weight. I'm like, people like me now. They're like, we liked you before. People constantly being like, you look great. And I'm like, I'm interpreting that as I look like garbage before. Ha.
That's, you know what's funny? Like that has happened to me a little bit recently. It's weird. It's odd because it is such a personal thing, weirdly. And I have not done anything unhealthy. I just essentially I was just eating out a lot and not paying any attention to how much food I was eating. And now I'm just eating like a normal amount of calories, and making my own food. And you know, when you make your own food, you can make more of it. You can eat more of it because you're like salting it yourself and, you know, all that. And, just not as much like oils and fats and things. But like I'm eating a ton of food.
The way,
so it's
really
funny that people
little tangent, the way that someone described it that I thought was perfect is when you go out to eat, the person making your food doesn't give a fuck about you. So healthy food
They're just making
actually,
it yummy.
Yeah, the healthy food is made by people that love you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, just
sorry,
making my own food oh no worries. Just making my own food during the pandemic. I'm like, what do I like? Breakfast sandwiches. So I make myself like 2 big ass breakfast bagels a day, and like have a glass of wine at night, and it's great. And it's awesome, So
Not
but
thinking about
it's funny
food.
because a couple people.
Yeah.
Huh? Sorry?
Oh, not thinking about food as like oh my God, I have to make sure to eat the right food. I'm like, just make right choices, but I think you should still enjoy your food.
Oh my God, which is why I was like, what do I love more than life itself? Breakfast bagels. So I'm just going to do that. Like,
you know what? I've never had a breakfast
I love
bagel.
eggs and avocado. Oh my God, I'll make you one. I'll make you one and ship it to you. They're just so good. And also it's good because I don't like cooking. I know how to scramble eggs. That's basically it. So I just have like a ton of avocados, a ton of Dave's Killer Bread bagels.
Oh, Dave's
some,
Killer
like,
Bread
spinach,
is so good.
cheese. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. And I can just make myself a fat sandwich a couple times a day, and I really, really like it. And drink some wine, because wine is my lifeblood. I was hitting the sauce pretty hard at the beginning of this pandemic. I've gotten better. Wine's starting to taste like sour to me, which I think is a sign that maybe I should stop for
Maybe
a little bit.
You're fermenting yourself.
Yeah, I'm turning into wine. Oh my God, that'd be so cool. I had something else to say, but I can't remember what it was. Oh man, whatever.
No, I had actually quit drinking in November of 2018. I had a major concussion, and I just didn't think anything of it till I went to the doctor. They're like, "Are you drinking?" I'm like, yeah. Why? They're like, "Yeah, stop doing that." And so for like a full year, I'd stopped drinking, and I'm like, I think it got to the point where it was never a problem, but it's just like if everyone's having a drink, it's rude of me not to have a drink.
Yeah, it's also social lubricant. Like people who really know me know how awkward I am, but people who don't know me very well, I'm very good at putting on a facade of like, I know what's up, I'm great. But I'll be in these social situations, especially at like conventions and things, and I'll immediately go for the bar. And usually, as you know, like the bar is free for us because we're at, ABC, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'll immediately go and be like, yes, I need alcohol because it makes me feel less anxious, which is not good. I have a weird relationship with conventions, although I'm kind of at a point where everyone's like going out and, drinking, and I'm just like, I want to go to bed. I want to read my Kindle and go to sleep.
I think it was the last time I was at a big one where they're like, it was some friends or like friends that I only see at conventions. They're like, don't be lame. Like, come out with us. And I'm like, I am married. I'm tired. So, here's the thing. For me, I like to hang out at bars and stuff when I'm, trying to hook up. I can see all of you fuckers sober tomorrow. And I'm also tired of seeing you guys right now. So
that's the other thing.
There's no bonus. And you're a wet blanket. I'm like, I guess so. But, I mean, also, I mom pretty hard. One of you's going to drink too much, and I'm going to have to mom the fuck out of them. I'm just not down for it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing also, I think as you get older, just you realize that your next day is not going to be fun. It's not going to be a fun time if you drink too much.
No, and I don't want to look all poofy and bloated as someone's hey, I've been waiting to meet you. I'm like, hey, can you take, you're at a 10.
Exactly.
I really use you at a 2.
That's what it is too, is I've seen some taped panels of myself from a few years ago because I think I started doing cons when I was 23. Wow. And I look like ass. I'm just clearly so hungover. And I'm just not doing that anymore. I'd rather look like a little snacky and hydrated.
Hydrated and nice and just chill. Or yeah, at conventions, it's such a different world. I can't even imagine. I know a lot of people that, right now, they're like, conventions, when are they going to come back? I'm like, do you think I want to go to a convention?
See, that's,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree. I have had a few convention agents reach out to me and be like, we want you to do 85 online signings. And I'm like, no. I'm good. Thank you, though.
I've gotten a couple, but
I really
those sound so overwhelming. Those don't sound fun.
They do
I thought that was the point.
No. The thing is, too, I recognize that I'm very privileged in that I work enough in voiceover that I don't need to do conventions. So I I keep them pretty limited to where, you know, do I want to go to this place? Like, do I have friends that are going? Like, I just want it to be worth my while if I'm going to, you know, take a whole weekend. I do think it's really important to interface with fans because they're the ones that help us, you know, get where we are. And I do love that. I just have to look out for my own mental health. And yeah, I don't feel like doing any online conventions.
They don't. I don't know. There's something about seeing I was in Colorado last year, and it's someone that used to listen to my old podcast with Tatum, and she was in cosplay, so she didn't get why I didn't recognize her. But meeting her like offline, she's like, "I'm Erin." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're Erin! Hi, Erin." And just kind of losing it. Like, that was so exciting to me. But there's something about you're going to meet all these people online. I'm like, I'm so detached as it is. I don't see the benefit. Mm-hmm. And I really love it when people can appreciate the work that we do.
You're breaking up a little bit, babe.
Oh, no.
Is this on my end?
Is it just on her?
Yeah.
It's just on your end,
I'm
apparently.
hardwired.
Well, we'll see. But Steven says we're good.
Oh, I can't. I can barely hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can. You're just like, what's
okay,
going on?
Can you hear me now?
I'm scared. Steven, fix it.
Steven. Oh, he just changed the buffer setting.
I can't hear anybody now.
Oh, type.
Nobody's here. Hello?
Hold on.
Terri?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
What happened? What happened? Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so we're back.
Cool.
Okay, so rather than try to hide the fact that we just cut out, we cut out. It's the first time it's ever happened on a remote show, but it's our third one. It was bound to happen on one of them, and of course it happened on Erica's show. God.
Of course, because I'm cursed. I'm a haunted lady.
We talked about that, where we start questioning our existence. Are either of us alive? Maybe we've been dead this whole time. I mean, for a dead chick,
honestly,
you're getting
it wouldn't surprise me. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's so funny. I have had real talk also, and believe me, I know I speak again from a place of a lot of privilege that I am still able to work right now. But doing these sessions from my house, I was really hard on myself. Because I was refusing to acknowledge the sort of general malaise that has befallen everybody in the country or anybody who's paying attention to what's going on. And I was just starting my day with just nothing in the tank and then having to come in and record for these really high energy projects. And I was wondering, beating myself up, wondering why I wasn't really excited. And everything kind of felt superfluous. How am I still doing my job when all of these things are happening? One of my directors, Keith Aram, he was talking about, he couldn't remember the name for it, but when the pandemic first happened, we all either had a fight or flight response. I would think mine was more, it was either get really scared or be like, yeah, we're gonna get through this, it's gonna be fine. I think mine was fight. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this time, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna just chill, it'll be nice. I've always said I want more time off. But unfortunately, one can only sustain fight or flight for so long. A gazelle being chased by a lion is going to reach a point where he just goes, I'm just done. I'm done. And you just give up. And I think we're all just really tired. And I reached that point, and having to be emotionally open and available when I feel like I've got nothing left is just really hard right now for me.
And I think it's important to admit that rather than just kind of ignore it and keep pushing. I've had a similar experience myself where I'm in the middle of writing my second science fiction novel, and I keep anytime I get booked for voiceover work or for immediate paid writing work, I'm like, am I supposed, I feel bad because I'm like, oh, my art, but am I really supposed to say no to immediate payoff work to be like, yes, but my science fiction novel is done. But with stuff kind of slowing down for a little bit there, I'm like, oh, great, I'll have time. And so when I started booking again, I'm like, yes, but
That's how I felt. Things were really slow for like about 3 weeks because things were pushing. I had a few major projects go, we're just going to wait this out. We don't want to record from home. We're just going to, because again, it depends on what the budget is, right? If you have a mobile game that needs to get done this week versus if you're on a AAA game or a union animated series, it's like we can do this in 3 months. It won't matter.
Right.
We'll just scratch it and you can fill it in later. So, I had a few that pushed, but after 3 weeks, because I think some places were holding out hope that we would be back, in 3 weeks. And then some of them just went, oh no, we have to do this now. So everything just reached this crescendo where it was like normal. I'd be like, oh my God, I have 8 things this week. And it's just weird because my home has always been a space of rest for me besides, doing auditions. And now it's like my office and my sleep space and my chill space and my kitchen. It's everything.
Are you separating stuff out?
Kind of hard for me. Well, oh man, I just choked on my spit. I have my booth that I'm in right now is in my closet. I have a pretty big walk-in in the master bedroom, and so that is nice because I don't have to look at it if I don't want to. So that's always been delineated for me. But now it's like instead of, auditioning is very different from, doing the actual job.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been – and also as someone, like, I'm very empathetic and I get a lot of information from being in people's physical space, and that has never been more clear to me than it is now. Because I haven't been in any, in anybody's physical space, and like reading their faces.
Yeah, reading, like really seeing how the session is going, or like doing like a sarcastic comment. Like you don't know that I'm being sarcastic unless I really emphasize it in my voice.
Exactly.
I miss the real collaboration. Yeah. I missed it.
Yeah, totally. And again, like I do feel really lucky because a couple years ago I wouldn't, and having to ride the gain yourself and essentially engineer your own session, it's hard. You've got a lot. It's like it used to be like A to B to do my job, and now it's like A to F. There are just so many more steps, and it's stressful. And you just want to act, and you kind of can't right now. You have to act and engineer, and also not get any information from being near anybody. So it's tough.
Yeah, and yes, I think a lot of us are realizing just how lucky we are because of just being like, oh God, thank God I have a booth. Like I think a couple weeks in, my agent was like, hey, I need people's studio specs. Like, you have never asked for that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh God, the amount of test sessions I have done. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's just absolutely insane.
Or, yes, I miss the physical interaction, but also like, I had posted something, Twitter's a fun hellscape. Most of the time it's good.
It is an odious hellscape, 100%.
But I had posted something about, I'm like, okay, so before you guys talk about, like, why don't you just record from home? I'm like, we're forgetting the importance of the engineer. So, like, we can definitely work our way through sessions, but it's still like nothing compared to like just being like, oh, you're a professional. Just please save me from myself.
I had there was a studio. There are a couple studios in LA that have opened back up, and because they follow the guidelines and like they can record socially distantly, and I went in and I was like, I saw my engineer Jesus and I was just like, I am so happy to see you. Oh my God. Like just not having to worry about noise or a truck or like everyone and their mother has decided to mow their lawn 3 times a day for some reason. Oh God, this scene's like so freaky and I hate it.
It doesn't really seem like it's in the movie, like it should be in this movie. Like, wait.
It shouldn't.
Okay. But sure.
My mans. I actually think this is a really cool portrayal of a gay character, though. Like, I love this. This is nice.
Yeah, it breaks the, oh God, I was watching the
stereotype.
This not fun movie, but I have a soft spot for rom-com. And what was it? It was that Rebel Wilson movie, like, where she gets a concussion and, like, she's trapped and, like.
Yes, I saw that movie. I forget what it's called.
Like, Isn't It Romantic or something like that. But yes. Like her neighbor, like goes from just a guy to this very effeminate gay man, and I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, that's like one of the best parts of that movie. I honestly, truly barely remember any of that movie, but he was great.
But yeah, and then you start thinking about stuff like, wow, a lot of stuff doesn't hold up when you really think about it. And they're like, I don't know. Like, I definitely know a lot of effeminate friends that are just like, yeah, I'm gay, but they feel like they, like, because of that stereotype, they're like, I feel like I have to, like, butch it up just so it's not like oh, well, look at you. Like, I don't I forget what friend it was. I think it was my friend. He's like, I don't want to help you with a fucking makeover. I don't want to teach you dance moves. I just want to drink. God damn it. I'm like,
oh my God, I love that. Yeah, no, honestly, like, you I will just take anyone who they are, as they are. I'll take anyone who they are. Oh my God, kill me.
Who them be. Yes.
Yeah, I love all of the gays. And I love all of them in any form.
I do as well. I think I think that's something about also being an actor. Like, we often just get to interact with everybody, and we forget that, and like, oh, this isn't everybody's norm that they get to interact with everybody. And I actually think we're all incredibly welcoming for the most part. But then you go out, you're like, oh, that's right, the world's horrible. We still have a lot of work to do.
Yes,
guys.
indeed. Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? It's so funny, like, because as I said, I grew up in pretty rural North Carolina, and the amount of people who grew up in big cities and are like, racism's no longer a thing, like, homophobia is like, bigotry is no longer a thing. I'm like, you just don't know what's going on in the rest of the nation, do you?
No, not at all.
Like, you just have no idea. I'm like, you grew up in San Fran. Like, of course you don't think, homophobia is a thing.
Oh, yeah, because, like, for us, like, no, it isn't. What was it? I was rewatching. I used to be a big Buffy Angel person. I was rewatching Angel, and there's that whole couple of episodes where they're like in Lauren's home dimension. I forget what I forget what it's called, but like they dethrone the kingdom, and they're like, well, what are we gonna do without a king? And Angel goes, Gunn, you want to take this? Because Gunn's their one black friend, and Gunn's like, it's gonna be hectic for a while, da 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 da. But rewatching it, I'm like, this doesn't do what I think you think it's doing. It's basically like having Gunn be like, don't worry, it'll be over in just 60 years or something. But it's
oh my God,
guys, don't.
Oh no, it's so funny to look back at things. I don't know. Okay, wait, Terri, have you seen The Fast and the Furious?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that is the most problematic movie. I cannot believe it got made. I watched it recently. Oh my gosh, it does not stand up to time.
I would much rather watch Point Break, which is also Fast and the Furious. Yes.
I have never seen Point Break, but I need to now.
It's basically Fast and the Furious is basically Point Break, but cars instead of surfers.
Oh God! I keep hitting my pop filter with my headphones, and it's lovely. Gosh!
But yeah, so
I need to see. Yeah,
it's been a minute since I've seen it. I have no inclination to rewatch it. But what's problematic that you're?
Oh, the way that they treat the characters of color. A. B, the fact that the women are just so clearly props. Like, they are just one-dimensional props.
You think Michelle Rodriguez isn't, but she super is, yes. Super duper.
Oh, yeah, 100. I mean, I don't want to say they've retconned everything, but yeah, it's better now. Now it's fine. I'm referencing the specific original Fast and Furious movie.
The one that came out in, like, 2001. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, when I was watching it, I was like, I cannot believe this got made. The script is terrible. The acting is absolutely awful. I've never seen a more egregious example of the patriarchy, because I'm like, that's how this movie got made.
Yeah.
No, like, I just can't believe it. No woman would have ever gotten away with making something that irrevocably, consummately shitty.
That's the thing about certain, I don't know, like, if you have to watch it, if you watch it in the time capsule that is your memory, you're like, oh my God, I love that movie. And then you rewatch it and you're like, there's a lot of shit wrong with this. How did I not see this?
And it's crazy because, you just didn't see it. I mean, to be fair, like, I'd never seen The Fast and the Furious. So I was watching it through the lens of right now. And I just couldn't believe that nobody that sparked an entire franchise that is still going, Terry. We still have. They're still fast and they're still furious.
They're a
even more
universal
fast
ride.
and more furious than they were. Exactly. They're a freaking universal ride. Like, and I just was like, wow, let me see the thing that sparked all of this. That's the patient zero of this franchise. And it was so bad. The idea that anyone watched that and went, yes, we must make more of these.
And you can't even...
makes me want to spit.
You can't even blame it like it was a different time. I'm like, no, because like there are movies also made at the same exact time that aren't like hey, trash fire. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell when a dude bro was behind something, or sometimes you can watch something and like, whoa, I don't mean to sound like myopic or anything, but why, like, this director directed this? Or like, actually, they threw the editing and the script writing to these two people. I'm like, oh, that was a good choice. Like, you can't just watch something anymore. It has to be like why is this good? Or, I knew this was going to be bad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, you're talking to someone who loves watching crappy horror movies. It's just my favorite pastime. I love crappy horror movies.
Yeah, I used to be, if it's a horror movie that was especially 80s or 90s, early aughts, that's my, that's my jam.
Yeah, that two of mine, The Covenant and Cry Wolf. Those are two just like crappy early 2000s horror movies that I love.
Oh, I remember The Covenant. I don't think I've ever seen Cry Wolf.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of pretty boys. That's it.
I mean, there's nothing
They're
wrong with
male
that
witches.
either.
They're Mitches.
That's right.
They're
The
matches.
Covenant, because what was it? I think I saw
and
that.
Sebastian Stan's in it.
That's the guy.
And he's like, I'm going to make you my weeotch.
Yes.
Yeah, he literally says in the movie, I'm going to make you my weeotch.
Sometimes, isn't it the bad dialogue that just sticks with you? I don't know.
It does. And also just the fact that, well, listen, like in VO, we all know we have to deliver bad dialogue all the time and try to make it
It's
sound
all
good.
gold.
So I have a new appreciation for those people. Yeah.
I think, there's some the bad ones, or I think it was Alexis. Like, I'm really into horror movies, but like I know you're into the older stuff. Like I've never seen Hellraiser. I'm like, I wouldn't recommend Hellraiser to anybody.
I've seen it. I'm not super into it, and I know it's a classic, and I feel really bad
watched
for saying
it,
that, but, yeah.
I think, as a latchkey kid, and it was something that I discovered on my own, so I think nostalgia plays into it. And they're like, oh, I'll read the book. I'm like, don't read the book, it's horrible. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Nostalgia glasses are strong. They really are.
But then, or something, like, I love practical effects. Or,
yeah, me too.
I really do. Like,
Heck
sometimes I get why you're not using practical effects. It's cheaper. Like, I totally get it. And sometimes it's done well, but like, Dawn of the Dead, the original, is one of my favorite movies of all time. And, like, George, again, it just sucks. I'm like, Romero's always had a black lead. Always. Like, or, actually, and then I immediately think of Day of the Dead. I'm like, oh, never mind. Yeah, there's just something fun about them. And I was talking to my friend Tia, because Tia has a big thing with ventriloquist dummies.
Tia Ballard? Yeah, I love her. She's freaking awesome.
She's so cool. But for a while there, it's like, she's like really into dolls and like ventriloquist dummies. I'm like, I think that's adorable. For me, it's horror movies. So like we were doing this sleepover one night because we actually, the following day, no joke, we were on live television getting hypnotized. That was fun.
Nice.
But she's like, so what's a big thing? Like, why horror movies? I'm like, I don't know. It's something like my dad got me into, and I was alone a lot. And for some reason, rather than be scared, it made me kind of go like, how did they do that? Or,
well, I think it's about like naming the beast. I used to be terrified of horror movies because I watched The Ring way too early. My friend made me watch it, and it literally haunted me for years.
Really?
I mean, I had to sleep with a fan, like a fan blowing, to make noise because every noise that I heard I thought was the Ring girl, like crawling on my floor.
Steven still hasn't
next
seen
to my
it. He
bed.
hasn't seen that or the OG Ringo. He hasn't seen it completely.
It's something about the girls with the crawling girls with long black hair. That is what it is. I just, Or The Grudge. The Grudge really messed me up too. So I think I have gone, well, it's better for me to just watch because whatever I imagine is so much worse than what's reality. So that's kind of what I've done.
I don't know. There's something about it. That also, like, when you meet other horror dorks, it's like, I'm really into this, or like Italian horror.
Alexis has brutal taste in freaking horror movies. I can't remember. Oh my God, was it like Through the Eyes of My Mother or like The Eyes of My Mother? Alexis stays with me when she comes to town, and she showed me one that absolutely messed me up, and she just watched it like nothing. It was so crazy.
Yeah, or
Alexis Tipton contains multitudes. She really does.
Yeah, I think we saw like Cabin in the Woods together, and we both appreciated, like, because it was like just like here's, I don't know, just it was very deconstructive horror, like in that, like, I
really like Cabin in the Woods.
But of course, her and I kept like talking throughout it and getting shushed by like Stephen, like her taste is a lot more modern than mine, but I'm like, oh no, this, and so we're able to like throw, each other different examples of stuff. But like, or like Italian horror or Japanese horror tends to be slower.
Yeah, I think it was Portuguese, that film. I think we were silent the whole time because I was just so disturbed. There was so much gore. This is what it is. I don't like body gore.
I don't like body gore. I can't do
That's
torture
the one
porn.
thing that I can't do.
Torture porn is no.
I can't either. Like Hostel. I remember Hostel really just messing me up.
I happened to see that with my friend who was Danish, and she was the only reason. I'm like, what is going on? So she just started interpreting it for me. And I'm like, but she's also like cringing, like, oh God, the Achilles tendon. And she's like, so da-da-da-da, he's saying this. Ah! But no, I couldn't get in on that, or what was it? The Cabin Fever, or House of a Thousand Corpses. I can't go. I'm not really down with Rob.
Oh my gosh. House of a Thousand Corpses I watched when I was 15, and I was with high schoolers who were like older than me. That movie ruined me. It gave me just this horrific feeling in the pit of my stomach. I could not stand that movie.
No.
I could not stand that. Rob Zombie stuff. I mean, now I'm like in my car listening to Dragula, like it's the best thing ever. But it scared me. I could watch it now. It just gave me like this awful feeling in the pit of my stomach. I remember it like it was yesterday.
As she goes to her flashback.
Legit.
I think I actually saw that a little after high school, or maybe during. I forget when it came out. I think it was toward the end of high school. And it's just this like, no, but that's also like when people aren't into horror movies, they're like, oh, well, we rented this because we thought you might like it. I'm like, no, that's like saying I'm into anime, so you just went to the anime section and covered your eyes and went, this. Like, no.
Yeah, that's true. I'm only into certain horror and horror movies and thrillers, and I'm encompassing all of that by saying horror. By the way, like Cry Wolf is not a horror film; it's a thriller.
I mean, technically, as far as genre, someone actually just recently pointed that out because I follow like Bloody Disgusting and Fangoria, and someone had posted like, The Craft came out and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, why are you guys posting about The Craft? The Craft is not a horror movie. And this chick actually was like, well, and like the actual movie, no, but it's the only way that you can categorize it without thinking about it too much in the film not getting lost in the shuffle. I'm like, whoa. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah. It really is. We use horror across all these technically separate genres.
Well, and that's what, like, it's everything is kind of a medium in that way. Like horror is a medium. And like anime, I always say anime is a medium. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, but you know what I mean. I'm like, no, that I don't. Like, anime doesn't say anything. Because in that same field, Oron is going to be right next to Parasite. Like, those aren't the same.
Or Hellsing. Like, the idea of Hellsing versus basically anything, honestly. Like, it's hard. It's hard because people are like, isn't that a cartoon for kids? And Hellsing is my favorite anime of all time. Hellsing Ultimate.
That's a good choice.
And the Hellsing 13 episode anime series. But yeah, like it's geared towards grown men. Mm-hmm. That's what that show is. And the manga and everything. It's really gory. It's hard to like, I don't know, I'm so entrenched in the anime industry now, I don't really think about having to explain that to people who don't understand. I just feel bad for people who are scared to experience something new because of whatever their preconceived notions are or what they think people will think of them for liking those things or watching those things.
And that's also a part of growing up, because I distinctly, and I've mentioned this several times, but like it's like the thinking about it now as a 36-year-old, where like if someone was making a movie about my life and like going back, you would show this ironic moment where I'm in my friend's den and she's like, okay, so we just got home from high school. Like, I need to watch Sailor Moon and I need to watch Dragon Ball. And me being like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do while you're watching these shows? It's like, you could watch them. And I'm like, I'm not into it. Yeah. And then now I am like the script supervisor on the English adaptations of all the Dragon Ball games.
My God.
So it's like,
I used to,
hindsight.
My cousins and my aunt and uncle used to watch Naruto together, and I thought it was super weird. I was like, what are you guys doing? Why do you do that? Like, they'd come for Christmas, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, Naruto's on Cartoon Network. And I remember just thinking it was so odd because I think I was like 13 or 14, and I used to, funnily enough, watch Sailor Moon on Toonami when I was like a kid. I didn't clock that as anime. For me, that was just a cartoon. It was mostly Sailor Moon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. Those were my ones. But then I was like, I'm not a baby. I don't watch cartoons. You know, I got to that point, and then I reached early teens, and I will never forget one night I was I think my cousins were asleep, and I went downstairs, and my Aunt Holly was watching Naruto. And it was a scene during the Chunin exams where Ino and Sakura were fighting each other, and they both end up knocking each other out. And Asuma and Kakashi have to come down and pick them up and like literally carry them out of the ring. And I remember just being rapt. I actually let myself watch it, and it was so good. And that was the beginning of it. Also, my consummate love of Kakashi. That was it for me. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And then I just fell into the rabbit hole, and anime became the best thing ever and a huge escape for me. So, yeah.
I fell into it, I think, later. It was my friend Lindsay who was like, well, you're into horror. Like, what if you were like, I have this anime that I've been really meaning to rewatch, and I think you would enjoy it. I'm like, you're wrong. And it was Ghost in the Shell, and I'm like, fuck, she's right, damn it.
Oh no,
like,
yeah.
I hate when I have to admit I'm wrong, because therefore, if I'm wrong about this, it means I'm probably wrong about other things, and growth is scary.
Growth is scary.
But and now to be like, oh, anime, I'm in it. Like, what was? I'm trying to think, because I knew you. I'd heard the name Erica Lindbeck for a while before. It's like,
oh no.
What was your first anime that you did? Do you remember?
It was, so my first voiceover job ever was a lead in an anime series called Capellion. Yeah, it was with Viz Media, and it was the lead character. Her name was Ibara Naruse. And that was my first voiceover job, was a lead. I was definitely thrown into the fire. It was a recast situation. They had someone, and who is a good friend of mine now. And I went in. I had been auditioning with Bang Zoom for a while, and I hadn't booked anything. And I literally they just called me in, and it happened to be a producer session. And they ended up, I dubbed a couple lines. I'd never dubbed anything. I literally had never done a voiceover job before.
Yeah.
And I dubbed a couple lines, and they were like, okay, well, we're going to need you for a while for this, because we're doing, 4 volumes or however long it was. And that was it. And it was a very painful process.
Well, I mean, I think it's also
I feel so bad for my director.
Probably really cool, too, because I've said it numerous times. I think anime, like the ADR, the localization, I think that's like voiceover boot camp. Once you do that, everything else seems so easy compared to it. Like,
yeah.
Holy crap.
Yes, I know. It totally, like, cutting your teeth on anime. And I was fresh out of college. I think I was literally like 2 months out of college when I booked that job. So it just was. And then I booked Capellion the day before I was going in for a hostessing job. But because I booked it and I knew how many hours they were going to need, I did the math, and I was like, okay, well, I cannot get a job for like 2 more months or 3 more months or whatever. And then I slowly started booking more and more stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess, And then I booked the voice of Barbie, which was just kind of a coup because they were overhauling the brand, and
that's right.
They needed so much content. So I was going in all the time for that. And yeah, again, I got really, really lucky. And I know that's not how it usually works. It's when people are like, well, how did you? And I'm like, well, my first role was a lead through whatever circumstances, led to that. Mm-hmm. And that's usually not how it works.
No, I mean, yeah, like there's luck and also just I feel like luck and just being at the right place at the right time, like luck doesn't really seem like the right word.
Yeah, well, it's being prepared to rise to the occasion when that occasion arises.
Yeah.
And again, I just completed a 4-year degree at one of the top acting programs in the country. So not to say that I, didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I graduated from my program thinking I was a terrible actress. Thinking I was pretty bad. So.
Well, I mean, you're wrong. So there you go.
Oh, well, thank you. I know that now. I do know. That's the one thing I hold on to. That's the one thing that helps me sleep at night is I'm like, no one's allowed to tell me that I'm a bad actress now. Like, that's just consummately not true. I've used the word consummate so many times during this interview. I need to think of another word. Categorically. That's just categorically not true. There are a lot of things that are true about me that are maybe not so great, but I'm definitely an okay actress. I can say that with confidence.
Consummately. But no,
I can say that with consummate confidence.
With a cacophony of content. I don't know. But yeah, like I think whenever someone is starting out and I'd say like, yeah, sometimes I don't think of myself as someone that's been doing this for a while.
Oh my God, wait, Terri, they're kissing. They're kissing. Sorry. Oh my God, I love it.
Oh.
So fun.
He's only aged like 6 months and time.
He really has. It's absolutely. Oh my God, I love her dress in this scene, the wedding dress. That was wedding. I remember watching behind the scenes of this because I said I used to watch this movie all the time, and that actress, she needed a leaning board. She couldn't sit down in that dress.
Oh no! Like that I Love Lucy thing where her and Ethel can't sit down.
Yeah, literally. Anyway, I totally interrupted you. What were you saying about?
Saying like you don't think about how far that you've grown until because now just voiceover alone, I've been doing this for 12 years. And
whoa.
I enjoy whenever I do have the time to like really fully answer people's questions and kind of just shoot the shit about the business. But you don't think about it until it's like, I don't know, I'm up for something and like, yeah, we're thinking of you. I'm like, how did my name even come up? They're like, because it's a character that you've played before. I'm like, but why did you think of me?
Yeah, I'm like that too. I'm always like, wait, really? What? Me?
I'm like, okay, with the false modesty. Like, it's not false. I don't even know if you would consider it modesty.
It's really not. No, yeah, it is a genuine. I will never forget. Like Amanda Wyatt, she's a really big casting director and director in games, and she like really went to the mat for me a few times when I was first starting out. Aww. And I remember going in for her once and just going, why did you, it was for Skylanders. That's what it was for. And I turned to her and I just went, why did you bring me in? Mm-hmm. Like of all the people. And she just went, I don't know, Erica. I like what you do. I like what you do. And I've never forgotten that. I just was like, well, okay, well, thank you.
That's like such a simple thing that she likely just said because it's an instinctual thing that she said. But I'm like, damn, that affects me.
She's also said to me, because again, like the bulk of my work, I think even what I'm known for these days is video game work. And I've been fortunate enough to work with her quite a bit. And she told me once, she was like, Erica, you know what I like about you? You're really hungry for it. Like you want this so badly. And as much as I love the heavy hitters in this industry, like, you're not jaded and you're just excited and you want to get better. And you're just hungry for it. And I thought that was nice because I think there's a difference between being, desperate and being quote unquote like hungry for it. Being like, what can I do? How do I make this the best it can be? How do I make my reads competitive? And I know there's a line. Yeah. There's a line to be towed there. But she said quite a few things to me that have really stuck with me. I think my whole career has just been built on people believing in me more than I believe in myself. And now I think I'm finally at a point where I do kind of believe in myself. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think at some point it's that you do need, you need your circle of people. I think I personally, I'd quit acting because just wanting to be an actor at all at such an early age was very much something that was not really encouraged. It's just kind of like a please don't do this. Like it's going to be so hard and you're going to be like so broken by the time like you come back from this. I'm like, why am I already failing in this scenario? And then just kind of like being like, you know what, you're right. And then eventually I was just doing indie films.
You're getting hard to hear.
Oh,
it's happening again.
Are we getting... Hold on.
Okay, cool.
All right,
we're back.
All right, so
back
we're
with
wrapping this
vengeance.
thing up. But,
yeah.
okay, yeah. We'll just go a little bit and then, all right. Another thing. Come on, Source Connect. Be cool. Fuck. But no, I was saying,
Be cool for 5 more minutes.
Just 5 more minutes. Mom! But, yeah, where you just, there was a point where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing like indie films here and there. And then, I got called in randomly because I heard, like how the acting pool is really not as big as we think it is. And it's just, oh, we got your name from so-and-so that you did a play with a couple of years ago. Or da-da-da-da-da. Do you want to come in for just a really quick session at Funimation? I'm like, what is Funimation? And then just continuing to get pushed by your support system, like namely my husband. And Tatum, who I met while I was interning, and Christopher Bevins, who went to the same college that I did. And then just being like, holy crap, I'm back into it after I gave up. That's nice. I mean, it could have definitely not worked.
Yeah, right. It's when you're not looking for it.
Yeah, and now, still growing and still like being like, okay, I've done this. I want to try to do this more. Or, and...
Yeah.
The writing has also come to me because of that, and I've been up for some really big projects that aren't in any way, related to anime or anything like that, but it's just like and it's just because I'm trying and being like, this makes me happy. Maybe people will see that it makes me happy, and they usually do, which is like baffling to a younger version of me. But yeah,
Well, yeah, and I feel like you manifest the things that you want. Like, there's a reason I mostly work in cinematic games. It's because that's what I wanted to do. That's what I tailored my reads for.
Yeah.
I was like, if I can just become a ringer, I know I'll book this stuff. And I did. And I'm looking at there's a reason most of the animation I'm in is super cinematic. Like, there's a reason for that. It's because that's what I wanted to nail down. It was a very, like, filmic read.
Yeah. Well, do you see yourself... Now that as we wrap up, do you see like things that you want to maybe push yourself toward that are out of your comfort zone now?
Yeah, I mean, I come from theater, so I really would love to do mocap. Like, I mean, I've done a little bit of mocap, but I would love to do like a huge mocap role in something, which I think will come with time, But I would love to do more on camera. Like, I think that'd be really fun. But the problem is, it's hard because I found success in, voiceover, and I never want to not do voiceover. And I feel like anytime I go, I think I'm going to pursue this, on camera more, I book like 8 projects. And it's like, well, this is going to keep you busy for the next 2 years. I'm like, well, okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's just tough. It's tough.
But But
I think I'm trying not to tie my happiness to my career because it will never work.
No.
So that's actually mostly what I'm focused on now is I've learned to say no, and that's been very hard because as an actor you're just a puppy and you want to please everyone and you want to work and you want to take every job you're given, but I just can't do that anymore.
No, and you shouldn't.
And so I'm just being more choosy.
And yeah, I think it's because like of training as an actor, like it's just you do the work, blah blah blah. And now that I just turned down something this week, and I'm still grappling with it. I'm like, fuck, did I make the right choice? And Steven's like, you don't have time because of all the other commitments that you've made, and you're getting a little twitchy. I'm like, well, that's, I mean, the biz is the biz. Like, he's like, can you please say no to this? And I did, and it's just this like. I know I made the right decision because I feel like I felt the tension leave my shoulders. But it's that whole thing. Like,
exactly.
I said no to something. My God.
Yeah, I know. It gets easier, I promise. My last year and a half has been a lot of no's. And it's all been for the best, at the end of the day for me.
Well, thank you. I will have to remember that. But, man.
Yeah.
Source Connect tried to stop us. but they did not succeed.
We did it.
Fucking
We
did
did
it.
it.
Ghost high five. Yes.
Fuck yeah. Ghost high five. I'm a dead person.
And that's where we leave the episode. But thank you so much for being for agreeing to do this and for locking yourself in your booth.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate it. And I feel like I just
Of
got to know
course.
you better, and hopefully we'll do this without microphones.
Heck yeah,
next
dude.
time.
You too. Yes, I look forward to that day, Terri. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you're listening, thank you, Ko-Fi contributors, as well as just listeners in general. You guys have been so good. I hope you're staying safe. And until next time, Ghost High Five.
Ghost high five.